And welcome to another edition of the Sharp Corner. I'm Jeff Josselson from FanSharp, joined again as always by Christian Pina in Las Vegas. Christian, tip of the hat to you once again. 2-1 last week on the FanSharp 3-ball. That brings Christian's record to 12-4 over these past several weeks. Christian gives us three plays each week live from Las Vegas. Christian, without further ado, what do you got for us this week? Keep up the hot hand for us.
Yeah. Well, I wish we started doing this maybe, a few years earlier because the market's caught up a little bit with this trend, but across the whole football season, this is probably my favorite play of the year. Traditionally coming in, if you look back, I'm a huge trend guy, but I think that there's a certain cutoff point when you change staffs, you change coordinators, it's, scholarships, all those things are, you can only go back so far until a program changes. And liken that to the pro style of how that can happen. We'd be talking about, the Tennessee Titans and how you have to get rid of what's in your head about what a program used to be. And again, not this case a program, but a team. But these things kind of, you can only go back so far. But basically over the last 10 years, hitting at about a whopping 81%, Army-Navy, the first half under. Now, I will preface this by saying the market has caught up a little bit. Normally, you were looking 21.5. Maybe if you waited until game time, this was always a favorite bet of professionals. So maybe you got the 21. Truthfully, never really that close or ever really in doubt. I believe 5-1 the last 6 years. Now you're looking at numbers as what we have this year as well, under 19.5. I would love to get this one, if it was and they did forget about it. I think the secret's kind of out. You see, media outlets report this trend and all that type of stuff. But been playing this one for about 6 years. My favorite bet of the year. I have to go right back to that. Well, Army-Navy, first half under the 19.5.
There you go. Love it. Okay, looks like we're going to go to the SEC. You got another big favorite. Those have been good to us, so looks like you got another one.
Yeah, and this one is very, very simple. I hate to make it about an individual rather than the team and go down that whole road. But that being said, Mac Jones and Kyle Trask have gone back and forth in the Heisman race. Now, obviously, Florida is playing the same team that Alabama just played against LSU, saw what Mac Jones did. I still think Kyle Trask had the more impressive day and has the more impressive stats. But as you look up at some odds boards, Mac Jones slightly now favored over Kyle Trask to win the Heisman. I think that you're going to see a Florida program. Now, look, eventually down this may be irrelevant. It may come down to the SEC championship game and all of that when you talk about, again, taking teams and spreads out of it, but just the Heisman. But you're looking at a guy who is the quarterback of a football team touching the ball on every single snap. I'm not saying he's going to do anything selfishly, but Florida would love to have another Heisman Trophy winner. The bar has now been set, which is the luxury of playing after Alabama to a defeated, depleted LSU team that, quite frankly, probably doesn't want to play football anymore. So Florida minus 23.5. Kyle Trask knows what he has to do, and I think you're going to go see him put out an even better performance. Probably, if I had to, guesstimate 5-6 touchdowns is basically what he's going to be shooting for in this game. And Alabama could have made that one as bad as they wanted. I think Florida now knows how bad they want it, and they may do it even worse. I mean, under 4 touchdowns in this game seems very short, even at a big number at 23.5 for Florida.
Okay. And for our third play, we're going to stay in college football for Saturday. Normally, Christian will give us an NFL play, but we've looked at the board. There's just no value there. And this is that time of year where NFL lines are so tight. One thing we preach here on FanSharp, we don't force plays. We don't put action on a game just for the sake of it. So, Christian, you're going to stay in college ball on Saturday, and it looks like you've got a Big Ten total for us.
Yeah, just like the Army-Navy first half under, Big Ten first half unders have always been a staple of my betting. I'm going to go full game here. This is, December football, Wisconsin, Iowa. We're going to go under the 42. Now, look, this could change, again, the COVID world and sports that we're kind of living in in terms of who plays quarterback. For Wisconsin, obviously that offense is much more prolific or not, depending on who's in there. But this Wisconsin defense, as it always is legit. They had, I really feel bad for this team because I think if things broke a little bit differently. And again, as a freshman coming in, they have all the time in the world to kind of build the program that I think that they're going towards. And I think you're going to hear a lot of noise from Wisconsin going forward. But this is that Big Ten 7-3 at the half, game ends 13-10 type of football game, Wisconsin, Iowa, in a spot where, with everything looming, what do these two teams have to play for? No one even really knows the rules of getting into bowls based on canceled now. Ohio State is now allowed to play in the Big Ten is kind of, I think, is a motivational standpoint for these two teams. Get everybody out of there, get healthy. Maybe you get a bowl game. I don't think they even know. But not a whole lot to put more on tape from a quarterback in Wisconsin and an offense that's in flux and changing. So let's go the conservative, backing that conservative approach. I think you're going to see Wisconsin, Iowa under the 42 even.
Okay, and that's your Fan Sharp 3 ball for this weekend. You got Army, Navy. That's a first half total, under 19.5. Florida, minus 23.5 over LSU. And Wisconsin, Iowa, full game total going under the 42. Let's shift our sights over to the great state of Tennessee, where legal mobile sports betting has been live for about 5 weeks now. We've got a lot of followers in Tennessee. So, Christian, we'd like to take a look at those hometown teams. Tennessee and Vandy in a traditional rivalry game, both teams really with nothing to play for. Vandy just making a coaching change. You got guys probably looking to put some good tape for a new coaching staff. But other than that, you got Tennessee opening at minus 14.5, and that line has moved to 16. You see any value in this game?
Yeah, look, I mean, so let's start with the obvious. Who is going to play quarterback for Tennessee, right? And on the other side of that, Vanderbilt, you touched on, fired their coach, interim coach coming in, 0-8 on the season. Neither team has anything to play for. And as I touched on with LSU, I think both teams just want to get out of here. And you touched on a great point of, putting stuff on film for whoever comes up to that or comes up to be the next head coach. Vanderbilt's going to be carrying under 50 scholarships on Saturday. So I'm not sure exactly, even who will be left either way. Somebody could have the game of their life, and maybe that happens. But you can see third stringer, Brian Maher in there. They have moved on from their starting quarterback in Guarantino. Look, in a game that with, both teams having no motivation, yeah, it's a rivalry game. And a lot of times, a lot of situations, you can throw records. How many times have you seen Michigan State? A lot of these things you can throw away records. They don't matter. And it's people can get up for a rivalry game. Under normal circumstances, that's the case. I could not possibly lay 16.5, 17 with this Tennessee team under, I don't care who they're playing. So I would lean with the dog here. But again, not a game I really want any part of.
Okay. How about over in the American Conference, where the Memphis Tigers opened as a 2.5-point dog at home to Houston, and that line has gone to 5. Houston laying 5 over Memphis. Memphis still got a shot. It looks like they can sneak into a bowl, and they're still in the American race. What do you see there?
Yeah, this is one where if you kind of want to go with odds makers and see this, it was very curious. I mean, Houston hasn't played since November 14th. So kind of weird to see them not only open, but be steamed by what you would assume would be professional money as the road favorite in this spot. Memphis 2-7 against the number on the season. That may be behind the move a little bit. But Houston, again, November 14th, that's a long game, or a long time off. Memphis averaging 31.8 points per game. I mean, this is kind of the traditional Houston Memphis. I think if you are a fan, in the state and you want to put some rooting interest, on that, I think you could do worse than rooting for an over in a high-powered game. I know it's, a little bit high, obviously, but should be a lot of offense in this game. And I hate to put it kind of that cliche or this, make it that simple. But as far as kind of a lean and what's going to happen here, a lot of offense. Traditionally defense is ahead of offense, and that could, maybe hurt you in that regard because Houston has not played in so long. But Memphis's defense, nothing, spectacular, allowing, 33 points per game. So I think that Houston will be able to put up points as well. It should be a fun game and if you don't, you'll look in the fourth quarter, it's 35-35, and you're thinking why you didn't, but that would be the only way I could look in that one.
Okay. And we will look at the NFL for the purposes of our Tennessee conversation. The Titans opened as a 9.5-point favorite at Jacksonville, and that line has come down to -7. Now, Christian, the only buddy out there in their right mind who would bet on a team like Jacksonville at this point in the year, that's got to be sharp money on the Jags. Do you see anything there, or maybe is this an opportunity to get some good value on the Titans?
Look, what I saw last week, look, I'm not going to, point to or accuse anybody of anything in the National Football League. But what you quite frankly saw was Jacksonville score, and 3 minutes later, the Jets give up that, huge touchdown to Ruggs to what they thought would be protecting their number one pick. It's a very curious timing of events, seeing as what did happen there. And so I think you got to it's something you got to take into account. Jacksonville does not want to win football games. They're not putting their best personnel out there. This is tank for Trevor time for not only the Jets but the Jaguars, and it's a race to see, And honestly, as a fan of either the Jets or the Jaguars, there's no way anything is happening this year on either side. Why would, for a meaningless week, 14, 15, 16 win, to go 2-14 instead of the one that may get you your franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. I mean, Lawrence is that good. There hasn't been a highly touted prospect this good since basically Andrew Luck, but before that, Peyton Manning has been basically the three highest quarterbacks across projections and draft, evaluators in the last, 20, 30 years. It basically went, and before that was Elway. So when Elway was always was the blueprint in college football to kind of go to, then it was Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and now it's Trevor Lawrence. Those are basically the highest rated guys anybody's ever seen in college football. Why are you going to give that up for, and again, not to say that they can't cover spreads, because frankly, Jacksonville's been doing that. They're 1-11. They've covered 4 of their last 5 games. Let that sink in. And so I think the whole world, from a narrative perspective, let's say this, I think the whole world is going to line up to back Tennessee, and you're going to see some stupid 24-21 Titans win where the Jags cover and sportsbook save the day. And, teasers may go, maybe just fine on the Titans side of the ball for sure, if that's the way that you want to look. But I can't get on board with, 85% of tickets. Yes, I know the Jags want to win, but they're still somewhat competitive. Nothing's ever that easy in the National Football League.
Okay, cool. And that's a good example of why we like to say at Fan Sharp, root like a fan, bet like a sharp. You got your hometown teams in Tennessee, bet on them in certain weeks, and other weeks it just doesn't make sense. We want to help you stay sharp. Christian Pina, thank you as always from Las Vegas. Good luck to you at the windows this week, and good luck to everybody out there. Have a great weekend.
You too, my friend. Good luck.